So workman comp waiver is going to be different in every state. And I found this online because this is not like something you create. It's something your state provides. So if you put in workman comp waiver form and then put for your state, you can find it. What you normally want to do is go into Google. And when you Google it, instead of like looking up like the search results, you want to go into images. So I'm going to actually show you this because this will be important for everyone who's not in Maryland. Right, just so I can show you how this would work, because if you search one way, you're going to run into a bunch of people trying to sell them to you, but it's actually a document that's provided by your state. So let's just put in workman and comp New Jersey. Let's see what comes up for New Jersey. So when you come up, so you can see workman's comp insurance waiver, New Jersey. Well, sorry, see if that helps any. And so what's going to come up is see like easy insurance. This is the Department of Labor Gov. This probably is where you'd want to go, by the way, where it's like the government site would be the best place to go, but tend to like just look right here on the images, and you can see like it's probably right here. So I can just see, you pull that up, and what you can easily do, and what I've done is I just move this out of the way. You can easily take, says no to select to be exempt, and make sure it's for New Jersey, obviously, because it could be for Texas. You can just copy this. I've actually copied them before. You can just copy and paste it into a Word document, or you can go on the government site, like what we've seen in the search, but don't pay anyone for it, because often when you pay them, it's kind of like not, you're paying money for something. It should be free. If you were going to find, like, don't go anywhere with this natural government one, should be good. Let's just see. And often it says, so see if they got the waiver here. Cost premiums, workman's comp. They don't actually even have it here. They just they're sending you to it, but they're not even giving you the waiver easily. It's probably somewhere in here, but it's always kind of hard to find because they want you paying the workman's comp. They don't actually want you waiving it, because obviously everyone wants you to pay for it, because they're like, yeah. So if you ever ask your insurance guy, can I waive? And they're going to always be like, well, I wouldn't recommend that, because I get zero money from that if you recommend. But with that being said, so I don't even see it here, but I'm sure it's here if you dig deep enough, but it's definitely within those little documents we just had. So I just want to show that to you very quickly. There's a way to find it for every state. We're going to look at the one from Maryland, and it's going to be pretty similar for everywhere else. A little bit different, but so it just basically says area represent to the Maryland Workers' Compensation, that I'm a sole proprietor, right? That I'm a sole proprietor doing business and about the state of Maryland, and that on this date, forth below my signature under penalty of perjury, the following checkbox represents the status of my coverage employee. Remember that when we own a company, we never think of ourselves as an employee, but when you own a company, the company is not you. Everyone thinks, and I thought for many years that, oh, I'm the company. No, company is actually its own entity, right? And we have to be the managing member of a company. We have to be an employee of that company, anything. But the bottom line is, in reality, we have to have our own workman's comp for ourselves. Right? We need workman's comp to cover ourselves. I know that sounds a little crazy and it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but we have to elect out of it. That's what this is. When we're waiving our workman's comp as the sole proprietor of a business, so say I own a business and I'm the only one that works in that business, I can elect out of workman's comp. Now, let's say I work in the business and I've got 3 employees. It's Cinnamon, Steve, and Petey, right? Okay, I got you 3 are working for me. Well, you guys can't elect out, but I can. Now, I hire people when they elect out, they, sometimes they got people working with them, and, I can turn a blind eye or not. If I do, I take a little bit of risk, but most of the time, because the person who's hired them is actually elected out, I never get sued. Now, again, this is totally up to you. I'm not giving this advice. I can't give this legal advice. I'm just telling you what I've done and what I've seen others do. You can totally decide if somebody's over one person that you want to make sure they have workman's comp. Ray's actually even helped them get workman's comp, found some different stuff, some different insurances. So it's really just a matter of your preference. Me and Ray had a lot of conversations about this. He's in New Jersey, and he decided that going with like just certain coverage, like general liability coverage, was enough to make him feel pretty safe, and that he didn't need the workman's comp as long as, and he gets them to waive. And so it's important that if they waive, it's not a guarantee that you won't be sued. It's only the only guarantee is that you get workman's comp. So the question is, again, do you want to pay? It's about 10% though on all money paid to them. So one of the things I always would say when you're hiring a GC versus like if you're hiring somebody doing a job for you, You should only be paying workman's comp on the labor, not on material. Be careful if you do pay workman's comp. A lot of times the insurance guy will try to get you to pay on the materials too. And we don't pay on the materials because the materials are not like, it's the work being done, not the materials, because materials often can be 60% of the overall cost. So if you spend $100,000, only 40 of it would be labor. So 10% of that would be $4,000 in workman's comp premium you'd have to pay. So if you want workman's comp and it's really important to you, you can pay the 10% on that. And often what I found is that say somebody doesn't have workman's comp, we can get it for them and we can actually cover them under our blanket coverage. And that's what we used to do in our old company when we did start doing a lot of workman's comp, and we decided to stop waiving because we were doing over 100 houses a year. And we thought that, it was enough volume that eventually we'd have some problem, right? My partner didn't want to open up big liability because of the volume we were doing. So what we did instead was we would actually have our insurance company, we created a blanket policy, and they would just come audit us every month and say, okay, how much did you pay your people? And then we could say whatever, and we would just give them somewhat of a blanket policy. What was pretty cool about that was there was no we would just kind of report to them what we spent, but they never really would verify it. So it wasn't like we had to show them our books and be like, we spent all this money. And what would happen is that if we would go ahead and just show that we paid X dollars and say, we're like, all right, this month we spent $20,000 in labor. Maybe we spent 50, but we tell them we spent 20 in labor. When we did get sued one time, and I've been sued one time in like 11 years now, over 1,000 flips. That one time we got sued because we had the blanket coverage. We actually, that cost us a decent amount of money every year. We actually were able to do that. Just so you guys know the math of it, though, we were paying about 50 or 60K a year, which seems like a lot, but it wasn't very much in comparison to what we were doing. And we paid that for 6 years before we got sued for $15,000. So we gave them about $300,000 for a $15,000 problem. So yeah, that's just something to know. I mean, that's just a fun fact, I guess. Fun fact of insurance. You always hear me I've been breaking insurance down now, and I'm trying to figure out how to self-insure. I'm getting to the point in my life where, I like to figure out, is that a possibility? And I think it is. It's just kind of complex, but, because I hate the fact that I've had $100,000 in claims and I've paid $1.5 million in insurance. So in any business, next 10 years, do I want to pay another $1.5 million in insurance to get maybe 100K back? No, not really, if I can help it, but I might be reporting to you 10 years from now that I can't do anything but just, pay the man. But I always like fighting the man if I can, just not to the point where I get in any trouble or I leave myself open to liability. So you got some things you can waive, you can pay it, you can do the general policy. There's a lot. This is a tricky subject. There's no easy answer to it. I can't really advise you on it because I'm not an attorney. You guys as a business have to just decide how liable you want to be. I can tell you that there's many people flipping houses, doing a couple houses here and there, and they just act like this whole subject doesn't even exist. They don't even do waivers. They don't do anything. And I don't know of any horror stories to tell you. Like, I'm sure there's some out there, but I don't personally know of any. So, it means that it's not a daily problem, but it could be something that could always, you could be open. And then keep in mind that obviously if you're paying people from an LLC, or you have some installation of that, or you have some of your own insurance, you might have some protection there. So you just have to put a plan together, and you have to weigh the how much you're paying in insurance versus how much that risk is. It's something to think about, right? It's a bigger, deeper conversation that I feel like I've given you a lot on it, but this is one of the few things that you will have to make that final decision on. I love to give you exact advice on everything, but this is a legal issue and I'm not an attorney. I also don't want you coming back later and saying, Mike told me to do this and I got sued for 20K. And I don't like Mike because of that. Because, we never know if it'll happen, but ultimately I can tell you that no one's ever come back and said that to me yet. So, that's why I give you the best. I give you no advice around this legality of it, but I will tell you what I do and what I've seen others do. And then that just gives you some guidance to what you might want to do or whatever version. So as we come to this, it really is very simple. You read that and it's like check one or the other. It says, I have elected to become a covered employee, or I've elected to become a non-cover. I've not elected to be. So obviously they want to check the one that says not elected, and then you get them to sign effective date. You're going to put like however long you wouldn't. So keep in mind, you wouldn't be like, yeah, until 10 days from now when they finish. You'd probably be like effective date this year to like 2 years from now. Just so, because, they're going to probably do work and you don't want to get one of these signed every time they do work. So just put, a year or two later, I think would be acceptable. And then signature and date's pretty easy. And then their address and all that goes here. It's a very simple form. Again, this takes about 2 minutes to fill out. And if we got that, then, again, this is more of the emotional part of them knowing they signed it is mainly what we're focusing on.